The dust should have settled. I had sacrificed the entire $15 million Thorne fortune to right a 40-year-old wrong, secured Lila's future, and launched a new, ethical diagnostic company based on my mother's final patent. I had lost the millions, but gained my peace. But Mark Thorne doesn't believe in peace. He believes in vengeance. 4 months after the Thorne Health Group collapsed and my brother fled the country, the paperwork arrived. A multi-million-dollar lawsuit filed against me, my new company, and the Walter Finn Fund, claiming I had coerced, intimidated, and illegally pressured Alice Peterson into signing over the final assets. It was a desperate, ludicrous attempt to claw back the money. The lawsuit wasn't filed in the US, where his history of financial abuse would have ended it instantly. It was filed in a small, obscure Central American country with lax corporate laws and a zero extradition treaty with the United States. Mark was officially a fugitive, and he was fighting me from a safe haven. His legal argument was thin, but the location was strategic. He was counting on the sheer difficulty and expense of fighting an international case to bleed my small new company dry. He wanted to destroy my future, not just reclaim the past. But I was no longer the conflicted COO. I was the woman who willingly walked away from $15 million for a principle. I was a force he still fundamentally underestimated. I knew that to stop him, I couldn't just fight his lawyers. I had to find his money, expose his network, and permanently remove him from the chessboard. This final battle would take me deep into the world of international finance and risk everything I had worked to build. Mark's lawsuit was a masterclass in legal harassment. It demanded a freeze on all assets of the new diagnostic company, the Walter Finn Fund, and my personal accounts. While the U.S. courts quickly dismissed the injunction against me, the case remained active in the foreign jurisdiction, creating a massive, costly legal headache. My new company was already lean, built on the ethical patent and the goodwill of Walter Finn's fund. Every dollar spent defending the frivolous suit was a dollar taken away from life-saving research. Mark knew this. He was systematically trying to bankrupt my ethical venture. I sat with Mr. Jenkins, who looked utterly exhausted. "Alex, this is a stall tactic. He wants to drain your operating capital. We need a team of international lawyers, which is going to cost a fortune, and he's untouchable where he is." "He's not untouchable, Mr. Jenkins. His money is," I countered. "Fugitives don't fight international lawsuits with cash they keep in a mattress. They use sophisticated offshore financial networks. Mark Thorne is still bleeding cash from somewhere. We need to find the source."
I knew Mark didn't have any clean, traceable assets left. The $800,000 he stole before the SEC charge was long gone. His house, his stocks, all seized. His only lifeline had to be connected to the original Thorne Health Group crime. I had to return to the darkest chapter of my father's history, the stolen patent from 1985. I began digging through the original Claremont Holding Group files that my mother had protected. I wasn't looking for the patent. I was looking for the cash flow from the years when my father was first leveraging the stolen technology. In a dusty folder, I found a series of transactions from the late 1990s. Massive, untaxed profits disguised as licensing fees paid out to 2 shell corporations. One was Orion Holdings, a name I recognized as one of my father's old corporate aliases. The other was an unfamiliar entity, the Fides Trust. The total payout to the Fides Trust over 5 years was nearly $10 million. This was my father's ultimate hidden-slush-fund, money siphoned off the top of the stolen profits and kept completely clean, ready for a rainy day. And Mark, as the only person my father trusted fully, must have known about it. This $10 million was Mark's war chest. It was the only thing keeping him alive and funding his international revenge. The Fides Trust was registered in the Cayman Islands, a haven for anonymous wealth. I couldn't simply subpoena a Cayman bank. I needed leverage. I called Walter Finn. He was the only person who knew the inner workings of the original stolen patent and the business structure that my father had leveraged. Walter, dedicated to finally seeing justice served, agreed to help.
He explained that my father had specifically structured the FIDUS Trust to receive the initial, highest value patent royalties, the most tainted money, ensuring it would never be touched by the later, more legitimate side of the business. The money in FIDUS, Alex, Walter explained, is the most illegally obtained money in the family history. It is the direct proceeds of the patent theft, and Mark knows that. He's counting on its secrecy. My plan was set. I wouldn't fight Mark's civil suit. I would file a criminal complaint against the FIDUS Trust itself, claiming it contained the laundered proceeds of the original corporate espionage and theft. I hired a brilliant, aggressive forensic accountant who specialized in offshore finance. Within a week, she traced the current signatory on the FIDUS Trust account. It wasn't Mark, it was Victor. Mark's slimy former lawyer, who had been implicated in the smaller $800,000 theft, had also fled the country and was now acting as the trustee and sole signatory of Mark's $10 million lifeline. Mark had paid his lawyer to become his accomplice and financial guard dog in a foreign land. They had essentially created a global partnership in crime. Victor was managing the trust, funding the lawsuit, and ensuring Mark, the fugitive, could continue his attack on me. I realized Victor was my key. Unlike Mark, Victor was not a family member. He was a hired gun. He was not motivated by hatred, but by money. I knew I couldn't get a U.S. criminal indictment against a Cayman trust based on a 40-year-old crime. I needed irrefutable proof of its current use in money laundering or funding a criminal enterprise. I needed to get to Victor. I instructed my team to file a motion in a small Central American country where Mark was hiding. The motion was simple, a legal demand that Victor, Thorne, as he was operating under Mark's name, appear for an emergency deposition regarding the funding of the multi-million-dollar lawsuit against me. Mark, the true target, was not to be named. The motion was pure strategy. Victor, the sole signatory on the $10 million, would have to leave his safe haven to testify on behalf of Mark. If he failed to show, the court would dismiss Mark's entire lawsuit due to lack of representation and funding transparency. But I was banking on Victor's confidence. He was a lawyer. He wouldn't want to lose the case and the hefty fees Mark was paying him. He would assume he could outsmart me in court. Victor showed up for the deposition, not in the Central American country, which was too risky, but in the Bahamas, a place with friendly corporate law and where he felt safe enough to travel. I flew to the Bahamas. I walked into the conference room wearing a simple but sharp suit, my composure ironclad. Victor sat across from me, looking smug, flanked by two local lawyers. "Mrs. Thorne," Victor sneered, "this is a waste of everyone's time. You lost. Your brother is suing you. We have infinite resources." "You have $10 million, Victor," I countered, looking him directly in the eye. $10 million that is the direct, traceable proceeds of securities fraud and corporate theft from 40 years ago, and you're managing it. He bristled. "That money is in an irrevocable trust. You have no claim." "I don't need a claim, Victor. I need a confession." I leaned forward. "You're funding a fugitive's revenge plot. That crosses the line from fiduciary duty to conspiracy to commit financial crime. And unlike Mark, you don't have a family name to hide behind. The SEC will crush you, and the U.S. Attorney's Office will charge you with money laundering. You know what happens to lawyers who break the code, Victor." I presented him with the full history of the FIDUS Trust, cross-referenced with the original Claremont stock certificates. The paper trail was irrefutable. I didn't want Victor's money. I wanted his silence and his evidence. "I have two choices, Victor," I stated. "I can file this package with the U.S. Attorney, ensuring you go to prison for the next decade, and the $10 million is seized by the U.S. government. Or," he asked, his smugness finally cracking, "or you do three things. One, you sign a full, notarized affidavit detailing Mark's use of the FIDUS Trust to fund his lawsuit against me, citing the specific wire transfers and confirming his location.
2. You immediately liquidate the Fidesz Trust and wire the entire $10 million principal to the Walter Finn Fund as a final act of restitution for the original crime. 3. You leave the entire Thorne family alone forever. "You're giving me the money?" he asked, astonished. "I'm giving the money to Walter Finn, the true victim of my family's original crime. I will not personally touch 1 penny of tainted money. That is the only reason I won against Mark, and it's the only reason I'll spare you. You can walk away, disbarred and disgraced, but free and alive. You have 1 hour to decide." I stood up and left the room. Victor chose freedom. The signed affidavit detailing Mark's financial maneuvers and his location was delivered to my hotel room 1 hour later. Simultaneously, my bank confirmed the $10 million wire transfer to the Walter Finn Fund, a transfer that, ironically, gave Walter the means to fund his expanding community health mission globally. With the affidavit in hand, I had everything I needed to destroy Mark's lawsuit and permanently end his flight. I had the legal proof of his conspiracy and his exact location. I didn't bother flying back to the U.S. I flew directly to the small Central American country where Mark was hiding. I arrived in Mark's small, exclusive enclave. The irony was thick. He was living a life of paranoid luxury, funded by a stolen fortune, and he had no idea his lawyer had betrayed him. I waited until I was absolutely certain of my positioning. I was not there to confront him. I was there to deliver justice. I filed the affidavit with the local Central American police force, simultaneously alerting the International Criminal Police Organization, Interpol, that a high-profile U.S. fugitive, Mark Thorne, was residing in their jurisdiction and funding a multi-million-dollar lawsuit with the proceeds of international crime. Within hours, the local police, alerted by the Interpol warrant and the threat of international financial scandal, moved in. Mark was arrested swiftly and quietly. The international legal net had closed around him. The moment he was arrested, I had my team filed a final, crushing legal motion in the Central American court, a motion to dismiss the lawsuit with prejudice, citing Mark's status as a fugitive, funding his case with the proven proceeds of crime, as confirmed by the Victor affidavit. The court dismissed the case instantly. My new company was safe, Walter Finn's fund was safe, my sister was safe. Before leaving the country, I insisted on a final brief conversation with Mark, arranged through his new publicly funded defense counsel. He was sitting in a bare interrogation room, looking terrified. The swagger was gone. "You destroyed me," he repeated, the same hollow phrase. "You hunted me across the world. You gave the money to a convicted criminal instead of your own brother. You're a monster, Alex." "I am the steward of the truth, Mark," I told him, looking him in the eye for the final time. "The $10 million was never yours. It was the direct proceeds of my father's greatest crime. You used it to fund a personal vendetta and exploit the laws of honest nations. I used it to secure justice for the man my father destroyed. The money you lost was the direct consequence of the moral corruption you inherited from Dad. The new life I have built, the new company, is based on the integrity I inherited from Mom. You fought a battle for a dead past. I fought a battle for an ethical future. That is why you lost everything, and that is why I finally won." I walked out and never looked back. I had my closure. I didn't want Victor's money. I wanted his silence and his evidence. "I have 2 choices, Victor," I stated. "I can file this package with the U.S. attorney, ensuring you go to prison for the next decade, and the $10 million is seized by the U.S. government. Or," he asked, his smugness finally cracking, "or you do 3 things. 1, you sign a full notarized affidavit detailing Mark's use of the Fides Trust to fund his lawsuit against me, citing the specific wire transfers and confirming his location. 2, you immediately liquidate the Fides Trust and wire the entire $10 million principal to the Walter Finn Fund as a final act of restitution for the original crime. 3, you leave the entire Thorne family alone forever. "You're giving me the money?" he asked, astonished. "I'm giving the money to Walter Finn, the true victim of my family's original crime. I will not personally touch one penny of tainted money. That is the only reason I won against Mark, and it's the only reason I'll spare you. You can walk away, disbarred and disgraced, but free and alive. You have 1 hour to decide." I stood up and left the room. Victor chose freedom. The signed affidavit detailing Mark's financial maneuvers and his location was delivered to my hotel room 1 hour later. Simultaneously, my bank confirmed the $10 million wire transfer to the Walter Finn Fund, a transfer that, ironically, gave Walter the means to fund his expanding community health mission globally. With the affidavit in hand, I had everything I needed to destroy Mark's lawsuit and permanently end his flight. I had the legal proof of his conspiracy and his exact location. I didn't bother flying back to the U.S. I flew directly to the small Central American country where Mark was hiding. Mark was eventually extradited back to the U.S. to face the original SEC charges and the new charges relating to the misuse of the Fides Trust. He was ruined. Entirely, forever. My life, however, was in bloom. My new diagnostic company, funded by the ethical principles and the brilliant patent, grew rapidly. We partnered with Walter Finn's fund to offer free screenings to underserved communities, the very communities my father's greedy company had ignored. I sold the last remaining assets of the defunct Thorne Health Group, the paper and the intellectual property, and donated the proceeds to the Sarah Thorne Integrity Foundation, further strengthening its ability to fight financial exploitation. The millions I controlled were gone, but the impact I was making was priceless. I was no longer defined by the money I had. I was defined by the good I could do. Lila is flourishing. She lives in a beautiful, manageable home, secure and loved. I see her every day. Her life is financed by the medical endowment and the trust, assets I fought tooth and nail to protect, and which were never once exposed to the tainted money. I realize now that the final codicil wasn't a punishment, it was a purification. My mother knew the only way for the family to survive was to destroy the source of its corruption. She gave me the courage to be ruthless with principle and kind with people. My greatest inheritance wasn't the $50 million fortune I exposed and then gave away. It was the ability to distinguish between the love of money and the love of justice. And the final irony, the ethical, clean company I founded, based on Walter and my mother's small patent, is now a massive, multi-billion-dollar enterprise, outstripping anything my father had ever built, but built on a foundation of absolute honesty. I became wealthy not through greed, but through integrity. The journey started with a betrayal at a boardroom table, and it ended with a final act of justice in a foreign country. I faced down my father's criminal legacy, my brother's cruel ambition, and my trusted lawyer's greed. The lesson I learned is that the size of the battle is irrelevant. Whether it's $800,000 or $50 million, the principle is the same. The best way to defeat a villain is not to fight for their money, but to fight with your own morality. Because when you refuse to touch tainted assets, you become legally and ethically unbreakable. I am Alex Thorne, the woman who destroyed an empire built on a lie and built a new legacy on the truth. I am finally at peace. The war is over. The Thorne name, thanks to my mother's foresight, now stands for healing and integrity. And the world,
built on principles of ethics, innovation, and unwavering justice, finally feels right.